Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar focused on sustainability certifications and eco labels in finding the best one for your brand or business. I'm Molly Hughes with Softly Solutions. Today, we are featuring BPI in their compostability certification. If you have a product made out of food waste or yard trimmings, or if you purchase products with this label, you're really going to enjoy today's conversation. Businesses, as well as consumers, are increasingly concerned about keeping products out of the landfill. And we hear it over and over again that shoppers are skeptical of non verified sustainability claims, which is one of many reasons why certifications such as Certified Compostable are so important. Certifications build trust. Furthermore, there are certain labels that qualify you for programs such as government grants, the US EPA's Environmentally Preferred Purchasing Program, as well as for sustainability programs like Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly or Wayfair Shop Sustainably, and more. So we stay on top of all this. So keep following Softly to stay up to date on these opportunities. We have been doing this webinar series for quite some time now, and we have an entire library of webinars on different eco labels that you can reference on our website. Labels such as Safer Choice, EWG Verified, GOTS, Bleeping Bunny, and more. So you are in the right place if you're a business considering certification, or if you just want to learn a little bit more about the process. All right, so at this time, I'd like to bring on today's guest. We are thrilled to learn about the composting label. With us today is Margaret Eldridge with BPI. Welcome to the webinar, Margaret.
Hi, Molly. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Okay, let's start by learning a little bit about you, Margaret. How did you get involved in sustainability?
I really have been in the solid waste industry my entire career. I started actually with a volunteer position when I was in college with
Yeah.
riding on the back of the truck collecting recyclables, and then ended up
Um,
doing kind of a public education PR internship with the recycling coordinator in the town where I went to college.
mhm.
And then kind of the rest is history. My first job was as a municipal recycling coordinator. Been a solid waste consultant and municipal recycling coordinator for different places. And in that avenue, composting was definitely one of the kind of tools in our toolbox that we used for waste diversion. I taught backyard composting and did compost bin sales and things like that. And then I joined BPI about 4 years ago, and so I'm really focused more in on that particular area of waste diversion with composting and the role that compostable products can play in that arena.
Wow. Yeah. So you have certainly the right background for this, and you are the certification um, manager. So tell us a little bit about BPI. What's the history and what does BPI stand for?
Sure. So BPI stands for the Biodegradable Products Institute.
Mhm.
And we are a science driven nonprofit that supports the shift to a circular economy by promoting the production, use, and appropriate end of life for materials and products that are designed to fully biodegrade
Yeah.
in specific biologically active environments. So we are North America's leading certifier of compostable products. We were founded 24 years ago. We have
Mm.
over 500 members worldwide, and as of this morning, we have 20,131 certified products listed in our catalog. So while
Wow.
BPI is best
Yeah.
known for our certification program, we also have advocacy and education efforts that help develop an understanding of the link between compostable products and food waste and climate change, and to improve the compost infrastructure and support composters. So
Okay.
these efforts, kind of advocacy and education efforts, help support our certification program by ensuring that our products are compostable both in practice and at scale.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So what's the difference between biodegradable and compostable? Are they interchangeable?
So that's a great question. As there is so much confusion
Mhm.
around these terms. So, kind of in basic terms, Biodegradable simply means that an object is capable of being decomposed by bacteria and other living organisms.
Okay.
It doesn't address anything about what conditions this happens under or how long that process will take. So, like a banana peel may break down in a matter of weeks, whereas a plastic bottle may take 500 years to break down.
Hmm. Hmm.
If something is compostable, it's able to be broken down by bacteria and other living organisms into carbon dioxide, water, and biomass
Okay.
within a specific time frame and under specific conditions. Um, and so this is really what BPI certification verifies, using ASTM standards, the time frame and conditions within which a product will break down.
Hmm.
So a kind of a way to remember it is that everything that's compostable is biodegradable, but not everything that's biodegradable is compostable. So they really aren't interchangeable.
Got it. Okay. So, so if food products or food waste does break down, why is it a problem sending it to the landfill?
Yeah, so you're kind of building on the difference between biodegradation and composting. Composting happens under specific conditions. It needs
Okay.
moisture, oxygen, particular carbon
Mhm.
nitrogen ratio for composting to happen. Um, and these things aren't typically available in a landfill. A landfill is really designed to almost be a tomb, to keep moisture, oxygen, water, all of these things, out of the materials that are being put into the landfill.
Right.
Um, Organics that are put into a landfill do break down eventually, but they do it under anaerobic conditions, which means without oxygen, versus under aerobic conditions, which is what happens with composting, where oxygen is involved. And that the anaerobic conditions are what lead to the creation of methane, which is
Okay.
not something that we want to, have generated by organics being in landfills,
Right.
and
Yeah. The
instead they can be
methane is
diverted to
going to
composting.
create the greenhouse gas emissions,
Exactly.
and that's going to be cause the problems. So what is the
Exactly.
solution to this? What should we be doing? Um, Both from a business perspective, but also as consumers.
Sure. Well, I mean, diverting as much waste as we can from landfills
Yeah.
is definitely the way to go. And in particular with organics, because they are such a big generator of greenhouse
Mhm.
gases, when they end up in
Yeah.
landfills. So that's kind of where compostable products um, can come into play. Composters really want food waste and yard waste. There's good organics that really break down into nice compost. I like to describe it as, the composters want the salsa, and compostable products can be the chips that help deliver more salsa to composters.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm a business, and what are your qualifications? How do I know if I have a product that might be eligible for certification?
Sure. Yeah. So our eligibility criteria, the basic eligibility criteria are, we certify products that are associated with food and yard waste, with really desirable
Okay.
feedstocks for composters. So the main categories that we certify under are agricultural categories: plant pots, mulch films, growing medium plugs, things like that,
Yep.
bags, from piping bags for bakeries decorating cakes to bin liners, to collect food scraps in a kitchen, to grocery store shopping bags that can then be used to, house
Hmm.
um, food scraps, they're going to take to your backyard bin.
Right, right.
Um, we do
So showing up
also,
here, we actually have an example right now on the screen of some of the different products that you've certified over the past. How many did you say you've done? It's a lot, wasn't it? 20?
over
Yeah.
20,000, I think it was
Wow.
20,131 when I looked at our catalog count this morning. So yes, yeah,
Okay.
we definitely are the biggest category of product types that we certify are in food serviceware, cups, lids, clamshells, cutlery, straws, coffee pods, those
Okay.
types of things. We
All
are
all
definitely
types of
seeing
things.
growth. Yes, exactly. All types of things. We definitely are seeing growth in the food packaging um,
Arena, yeah.
realm with things like snack bag packaging,
Okay.
um, coffee, like whole and ground coffee bags, flexible type of packaging that
Right.
really doesn't have a good end of life solution right now. It's not easily recyclable because it's multiple layers of different
Mhm.
products put together that makes it very difficult to recycle. So it's interesting to see the growth in that particular category of products that we certify.
Right. So we're going to go through the certification process and kind of walk through that in just a minute. But I just wanted to let everybody know if there are questions, please put them in the chat. Kathy is working behind the scenes. She'll make sure that those questions come to us, and we will certainly answer them, by the end of the webinar. But before we do that, what do you think the value of getting your certification is for businesses?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest values is BPI certification really provides kind of a clear and single point of communication for all stakeholders that are across the value chain. So remember, we talked about the
Mhm.
confusion between the terms
Yep.
biodegradable and compostable. So having compostable certification allows all the stakeholders in the value chain, from raw material suppliers to converters to brands to municipalities to consumers and all the way to composters, to
Mhm.
understand the end of life attributes that certified item has, and
Right.
where it should be disposed of
Right.
after you're finished using it, and having confidence that it will actually break down as expected and not harm, compost that the composter's making.
Mhm.
Um, Certification also helps guide manufacturers in designing compostable products and bringing them to market. It
Right.
can help them understand like what ingredients they can use, what testing is required, what marketing claims can be made around compostability. And it really provides a manufacturer to manufacturer connection. And what I mean by that is it allows products manufactured by one company, like a compostable cup, to serve as
Mhm.
a feedstock for a compost manufacturer. It also, and you talked about this at the beginning in introducing the webinar, it validates green claims that are in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It distinguishes companies from those who are making self declarations,
Mhm.
and really makes it clear to the business's customers and competitors that they've put the effort in to create and provide a product that's really beneficial to the environment, and it's proof that that product is supported not only by your company but by
Right.
scientific evidence and the approval of a third party
Yeah.
certification body.
Mhm.
um, it also proves to composters, municipalities, and haulers that the product is acceptable, to be composted, which is really crucial for the sustainability of the compostable products industry. That if compostable products aren't accepted by composters, there's really no reason to make them. Um,
So on that note,
mhm.
um, from a consumer perspective, you were talking about, okay, it's going to give us, it's going to give us end of life information and how to dispose of this product. Where are we at in this country, in the United States at least, when it comes to making it easy for a consumer to be able to dispose of the products, especially ones on your list, properly?
Yeah, so one thing that BPI does is requires all compostable products and their packaging to display the BPI certification mark as a really
Right.
clear,
Hmm.
indicator that this item is compostable. Because that's contamination from lookalike products, is one of the biggest challenges in the
Hmm.
field of
Yep.
composting right now. And so, having items in their packaging bear the certification mark really conveys the message of what items truly are compostable and um,
Hmm.
which ones aren't.
Yeah. And then as far as like pickup, though, I mean, are there areas of the country that are, I guess, more on board and have more options for consumers in with disposal or pickup or
Certainly, and
whatever
so
it may be?
right, so there definitely is great variability in access to
Hmm.
composting, facilities around the country. There are some states, like the state of Vermont, that has actually banned food waste from their landfills. So there is great access to composting, um, in states like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing that BPI recognizes. And, like I talked about at the beginning, how we have an advocacy and education arm. That is definitely something that we,
Mm-hmm.
work hard at really helping to expand and develop composting infrastructure to, improve
Exactly.
access to those facilities.
Right. And I think another neat thing that you guys do is on your website, you actually have a list of products. So this is really helpful for consumers where they can go on and they can actually see, what products are compostable. So they are able to purchase that way and really direct their money to the places that they want them to go. So it makes it easy to do that.
Absolutely. I think that
Hmm.
certifications like BPI's really allow consumers to avoid falling prey to claims of greenwashing, and we
Right.
know that those claims are really prevalent in the marketplace. So again, a certification mark provides a
Hmm.
clear and single point of communication, kind of for all stakeholders across the value chain, and it really provides confidence and trust. I
Hmm.
think you used
Right.
that word
Right.
earlier, Molly, which is a great word
Yeah.
in the product that's has been certified, that's bearing a mark. And as consumers are becoming more eco savvy and interested in having a smaller environmental footprint,
Hmm.
certifications like BPI's compostable certification helps them make informed purchasing decisions and reduce the amount of waste they produce, because these products can be diverted from
Yeah.
um, their trash can to their compost
Exactly.
bin.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk through the certification process. And we do have a visual for this, so that will help a little bit. Kind of talk me through
Sure.
the beginning. I'm a business. I'm considering your certification. What's step one?
Absolutely. So step one is really determining if your item is eligible for certification.
Hmm.
Kind of had an image of a bunch of different types of products that we certify. We do certify final products like, gloves and bags and straws and plant pots and all
Yep.
those
Yep.
kinds of
Yep.
things. We also certify kind of the ingredients that are used to make these things, materials
Okay.
and ingredients. Um, so as I said earlier, like the items we certify have to be
Right.
associated with desirable feedstocks for composters. They can't be a better fit for recycling. And so something like a water bottle, is universally accepted as
Accepted
recyclable,
as a
and we would
recyclable product, or a
exactly,
tin
we wouldn't
can is a
certify.
recyclable
Right.
product. So, okay.
Exactly. We wouldn't certify something like that already has a really clear end of life associated with it, because that confuses
Right.
the consumer, that confuses the
Yep.
composter, that confuses the recycler. The item, all to be eligible, has to be able to be labeled with our certification mark. Again, so there's a clear
Hmm.
distinguishing indicator
Yep.
that it is compostable. And then the item cannot contain any intentionally added PFAS. And that's a big
Mhm.
deal in the world of composting, and was a big undertaking for BPI. We
Yeah.
delisted over 3,000 products in January
Oh my.
2020 that
Okay.
contained intentionally added PFAS. Composters don't want PFAS in their compost, um, and we don't want PFAS in compost that then is being spread out into the environment and going into
Exactly.
growing food that we eat, and all of that. So um, and the items also cannot um, require disassembly to be
Okay.
eligible for composting,
Hmm.
just because that increases the risk of contamination. If we're relying on someone to remove a bunch of bits and pieces and get the right piece of the item in the compost bin. So
Yeah.
once an item is deemed to be eligible for certification,
Hmm.
a company can start the process. And
Okay.
to do that, there's an application that we have that a company fills out that includes the really specific information with the formulation listing all the ingredients that are used to make that item. We enter into a confidentiality disclosure agreement with the company, because we have access to that type of proprietary information. We need safety data sheets for each ingredient that's in
Okay.
um, the product, as well as like a signed statement of no
Hmm.
intentionally added PFAS being used during the manufacturing process. There's an application fee of $1,500 that
Mm-hmm.
is paid. And once the application fee is paid, we begin the technical review, kind of the meat of the certification program.
Okay.
BPI contracts with a third-party technical reviewer who actually conducts the technical review based
Mm-hmm.
on our certification scheme.
Right.
Our certification scheme is publicly available. It's accessible via our website.
Mm-hmm.
And our certification is based on ASTM standards, 6400, 6868, and 8410. For disintegration, which looks at the physical and visual breakdown of the finished item. For biodegradation testing, which measures the conversion of carbon to carbon dioxide. And what that
Okay.
actually shows is that the ingredients and raw materials in that compostable item can be used as food by the microorganisms in compost. And then we also conduct testing to ensure that the item won't have harmful impacts on compost or on the environment where that compost is applied. And that's plant ecotoxicity and heavy metals testing. So our
Okay.
technical reviewer, uses the kind of the rules in our scheme and the formulation in the item to determine what tests must be conducted for certification.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is confidence in the test results from that testing. Tests have to be conducted by a lab that has been vetted and approved to conduct
To do that. Is that
testing for BPI certification.
are your third party verifier labs, are they listed on your website? So
Yes, they are indeed. And I think we've got 20 some. We just have added a couple in the last few weeks too, so
okay,
I
so
can't
quite
remember
a
the
few.
exact number, but it's 20 some, and they're all over the world. So there um, should be one close to companies wherever they're located.
Right. So they have, so you have the $1,500 for your fee, and then they're going to have a separate fee, and that's going to probably be dependent on just what they charge. So it might be a case where you're going
Exactly.
to shop around a little bit to figure out, which third party auditor you're going to use.
Exactly. And not only are there often differences in the testing fees that these
Mhm.
third party labs charge, but there's also difference in their availability and how long their queue
Mm,
is to even start testing. So we definitely
okay.
recommend that companies do check in with multiple labs to find out both what their time frames are and their
Right.
costs are to choose the one that works best for a company.
Mhm.
Um,
So once you go through that, you've gone through your process, you've gone through the auditor, you get your information back, it's good to go. Then what's next step?
Yep. So we, as I mentioned before, do require that certified products and their packaging display the use of the certification mark. So while the technical review is going on in parallel, we can review layouts of the artwork, showing the mark on products and packaging to make
Good.
sure that it meets our requirements and meets legal requirements. And then once the technical review is successful, we enter into a licensing agreement with companies, that provides the requirements for using the privileges and requirements for using the
Mhm.
BPI certification mark. And then we also have companies become members of BPI at that point in
Okay.
time. And there are two different levels of memberships that are available. The basic certification membership for companies that are strictly interested in having certified products is $3,500 per year. For companies who want to engage more deeply with BPI in the industry, we offer a full membership for $8,000 a year.
Okay.
So once we've had the technical review successfully completed, a company becomes, enters into the licensing agreement and becomes a member. They receive a certificate, that shows what products have been certified, and then their certified items are listed in our online catalog. This catalog is searchable down to this individual SKU level. Each product that we certify has an individual SKU, so you can really hone in on what exactly is certified. And as you said, Molly, this resource really makes it easy for consumers or procurement people to
Right.
verify, that an item is certified, or to find certified items of a particular category that they're interested
Right.
in
Right.
purchasing.
Yeah, I love
Once
that.
all that
I
is
love that you make it
finished,
easy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as certification, we do require recertification every 3 years. So
Okay.
once you have something certified, it's out in the marketplace for 3 years, then it's a much simpler process to go through for recertification, but that's required every 3 years. And there is $1,000 fee for recertification.
So that's every three
In
years.
addition, that's
So,
every 3 years. Yes. Yes. And in addition to certification, BPI also offers sub-licensing opportunities,
okay.
which, some of the listener businesses may be interested in. And this is where certified product can be rebranded or privately labeled for sale, as certified under a customer's brand. So
Okay.
there's no cost to sub-license between BPI members. And there is a $500 annual fee if the customer, that is not a BPI member.
Got it.
So that's
Got it.
kind of in a
Well, that was
nutshell,
really good that you
certification and
brought that up
sub-licensing.
because we actually had an audience question and somebody asked if the certification could be sub-licensed to use by resellers. So yes, they can,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
a pretty nominal fee to be able to do that.
Yes. And a pretty easy process. I mean, it's really an administrative process. So pretty streamlined and fast.
Excellent. We do have another audience question. When everything is composted, where does the compost actually go? Is it the same compost we're going to see when we go to a home improvement store, and the packaging that's used for our gardens and our fields, or are there other uses for composting also?
I mean, compost can be used and available in lots of places. So definitely it goes into retail outlets, with home improvement stores where you can buy, bags of
Mhm.
compost, local garden centers where, you can have a truckload of compost delivered to you.
Right.
It goes into, commercial agricultural applications, as well as like departments of transportation often use compost in uh, kind of roadside, after
Okay.
after they
Yeah.
construct roads with roadside remediation type of applications. So,
Okay.
um, from home gardeners to large commercial and industrial applications, compost can be used in lots of those.
Another audience question. It has to do a little bit about with home gardeners. Do you have any suggestions for people who want to do composting at their homes?
Sure. So currently, BPI only offers certification for industrial compostability. So that means for compostable products to go to um, a professional compost operation where there's variables that I talked about: carbon to nitrogen ratio, moisture, oxygen. All of those variables
Mhm.
are tightly, or fairly tightly controlled. BPI is actually in the process now of developing a home compostability scheme. So that would allow
Really?
people to compost products in their backyard
Hmm.
bin, which we're really excited about the possibility of offering that. Um, Home composting can be as simple or as intensive as you want to make it. I
Okay.
compost at home and am a fairly lazy composter. I collect all my kitchen scraps and yard waste, and I've got a big bin in my backyard that I dump it in, and I turn it every quarter probably, and get really beautiful compost
Mhm.
out of that I use in my garden once a year. If you want to reduce the amount of time that it takes to end up with that black gold, just like a commercial composter pays attention to those variables, a home composter can do that. They can turn their bin every week or so and end up with compost within 2 to 3 months.
Very good. Okay. So our timing is perfect. We're right about at 30 minutes, which is what we like it to be. And do you have anything else you'd like to add? Anything we didn't cover, Margaret?
um, I don't think so. I mean, other than to reiterate, kind of about greenwashing and just
Yeah.
for business to really look for ways to um, be truth tellers in the
Yep.
attributes of their product by getting
Mhm.
by utilizing certification agencies and Amazon's climate friendly pledge, some of the other
Right.
resources that you mentioned earlier, and for consumers to really be savvy and um, question the claims that are being made on products, and understanding that biodegradable or made from plants or claims like these really don't mean
All
much.
natural, eco.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
Exactly.
think those are great
Exactly.
reminders. And it's really great reminders for businesses that, hey, we're people are skeptical of this, but also for all of us, even business owners and the marketing managers that are watching right now, we're all consumers too, right? So
Right. Right.
excellent information. Thank you so much for being with us today. I totally enjoyed our conversation and learned so much. Really good
It
stuff.
was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Okay, good conversation, right? So, research shows that just as convenience became a basic consumer expectation, the demand for product transparency is quickly becoming the baseline for consumers. And today we learned how certification increases transparency and will earn customer trust. And that's really our goal at Softly. It's to help you with the process. So you can see on the screen right now, we have a platform on the right hand side that's going to take your message to consumers. It's our personal sustainable shopping assistant. This is a free download, and you can get it on the Chrome Web Store or at getsoftly.com. It doesn't cost anything, so check it out. We elevate and suggest sustainable products that are certified to be what they say they are to shoppers. We can also help you find the best certification for your business. There's a lot to consider when it comes to certification. There's about 500 eco labels out there. So we know it can be overwhelming as a business. But what we do is at Softly, we look at your sustainable initiatives and we help you find the one that's going to really give you the best return on your investment. This is important, and we know it can be confusing. So we are offering free consultation. So here's my email, the next slide. You can sign up for a consultant and a meeting with us. And then also, here's information on the label we featured today, Certified Compostable by BPI. Check out their website. It's a really, really informative website, and I guarantee you're going to learn a lot. All right, so this live webinar is recorded. So this recording will be available later on our website. Right now, I just want to thank you for being with us today. Please join us again for another one of our informational chats. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and tread softly on the world.